Why, hello, everybody. This is Eric Vierthaler of Vierthaler Studios back again for the next episode of Sit Down by the Fire. I'm here with my co host, Ty from Junebug Films, and we're here with our next special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Kelsey Jimenez, and I am the founder, CEO of Reflect the Dream School of Acting. And I am here in Southern California.
Awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I also want to thank you for taking time out of your day to be here.
Yes, Eric, thank you so much. I've been so excited, really, since last week to join this interview. So I'm more than honored to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. And you were saying how you usually are the one interviewing people, but now the roles are reversed.
I know it's kind of nice being on this end. Usually I have all the tasks, kind of what you are, preparing the link and the questions and all that. And it's kind of nice just to be able to hop in and have fun.
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah. I guess out of curiosity, what exactly is the origin like about creating Reflect the Dream?
Ooh, like kind of like the backstory, kind of
Yeah,
like where it all
Yeah.
began.
yeah.
Well, Eric, so I am originally from St. Louis, Missouri. And growing up, my dad was a stagehand, which, if you guys don't know what that means, he's the person that is building the set. He's working with the props. He's doing the lights for like live theater. And also there was some like musical shows that would come in. And when I was a kid, I would be able to go visit my dad when he was working, and I was always get to go behind the scenes. And he would always like want to show off his kids and introduce us, but I was always so fascinated with the performers on stage. My dad's trying to show us the lights and the props and the rigging. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, Dad, but I want to go talk to the performers. I was just always so amazed. And that for me is really where the spark it got lit. I can remember being 6, 7 years old. In your yearbook it would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would put an actor and a teacher. And it wasn't until I think I was in junior high where there was a drama class. I grew up in a really small town outside of Branson, Missouri. And I remember seeing a drama class in middle school, and it wasn't until then that I realized I could put them together and I could be an acting teacher. And honestly, that was it. I feel really blessed to known what I wanted to do for such a long time. I have friends and neighbors and family that, they're still trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. But I just remember being a young girl watching those performances, just being so in awe of the costume, the performance, the lights, the story. And I wanted to learn everything about it. And, so fast forward, I graduated high school. I pursued my bachelor's of arts in theater. I did the BA route versus the BFA route, which is the Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting. When I was looking at the two curriculums, the Bachelor's of Arts in Theater allowed me the opportunity to learn everything about theater. I was able to take a stage management class, costume history, makeup, directing, props, design, lights, camera, action, the whole works. And so that's what I wanted to do. And then once I graduated my Bachelor of Arts, I went on to get my Master's of Fine Arts in Acting. And really, Eric, the dream of having my own school, I really kept it a secret. Being from a small town in Missouri, this idea of having your own school and, moving to California, that was the dream, but it didn't seem possible, Eric. Honestly, it didn't. So I kind of made my dream more realistic and like, okay, well, I'll just probably stay. Maybe I'll move to St. Louis, which is like a bigger city in Missouri, and maybe work at a university, maybe at a high school. I was trying to be more realistic, but I really wanted my own school. And I got my Master's of Fine Arts in Acting. I started working at some local theater schools and performing arts academies. I was able to kind of structure my own curriculum, but I was definitely working under somebody, kind of in a way supporting their dream, but I still would lay in bed and just think, man, what would my school look like? And what would I want to teach? And then, Eric, in the end of 2019, towards the beginning of 2020, something really amazing happened in my life. And I'm going to be vulnerable and share it here on your platform. Truthfully, Eric, my relationship with Jesus is really what helped me believe in myself. I had heard of the Lord and Jesus growing up, but my church, they essentially made me feel like I was just too much of a sinner. I was just too bad. I mean, I didn't read my Bible every day. I didn't pray every day. So how on earth, like, no way God would want a relationship with me. And, and I love my parents, but I didn't really see them practicing anything that we were learning at church. So I just thought, "Ugh, God doesn't want a relationship with me." But in 2020, I had this incredible encounter with Jesus. And I know it sounds crazy and whatever, but that's truly what happened. And I met him for myself. And he began to share with me that this dream to launch my own school was my purpose. And I saw what I know now. It was a computer screen with all these little squares on them. And I know now that that's like a Zoom, because I teach online. And it was like all these little squares and had all kinds of people on them. And in the vision, I asked, Jesus, who are these people? And he said, these are my children. And you're going to help them reflect their dream come true. And it was so overwhelming. And then things began to line up, and I was able to join a business program to help me launch my school. And then 2021, I launched Reflect the Dream. My husband and I were moving to California. I've since, launched the Voiceover Academy, public speaking. And so that's kind of a long story. I hope that's okay. It's always so exciting to share it. So that's a great question. But yeah, that's really how it started.
Well, that's awesome, because I'm right here in Kansas and everything. So
you get it.
Missouri versus Kansas. I mean, hey, we love each other, but sometimes I suppose, sometimes we still look like the Civil War still exists there. But
yeah, certainly.
I'm from near Lawrence, Kansas. So
okay.
I just want to, I am more just, I don't, just because I never really wanted to move to California or anything, or New York or anything, but I just thought, well, I should build something right here, and everything. And, it's amazing how God does provide you with all sorts of wonderful things when you truly know him and everything. And
you're so right.
And, sometimes he comes to us at our most vulnerable moments, and sometimes he kind of has to let us kind of guide our way through sometimes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that, and considering that you launched it in 2021, which was, at that time when we were still dealing with COVID, and mostly everything at that time all went online anyway. And so it all worked out.
Eric, 100%. It's like it was all like this perfect storm. Like it was all meant to be. And Ty, what you're saying about, God meets us at our most vulnerable moment. You're absolutely right. The Lord met me when I was 33 years old. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 children. I was teaching, private acting classes here. I was teaching here. It was just all kind of a hodgepodge. And I just remember being in this place of like, is this it? Like, is this it? Because I work with actors every day, and I'm trying to encourage them to go after their dream and overcome their fears. And I had this big dream in my heart, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to begin. I would try to Google, I'd get overwhelmed. I so much doubted myself. I didn't believe in myself. And I was really not in a good place. I felt really trapped. I was in this suburban lifestyle with these kids, and but I wanted to see the world. I wanted to show the world that dreams come true, but I couldn't even. I was so scared to believe in myself. This feeling of I am not enough is really what plagued me. And then Jesus came in my life and changed that. And it's been a journey, and I'm definitely not saying it's been easy. A lot of my my obstacles, I've had to overcome, but it's so great because then I can encourage my students like Eric and my other students, and I have this, a real life testimony of what it means to truly believe in yourself and go after your dream, because it's your life. This is my life. This is who I am.
Yep. And and I mean, no one else is going to believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Totally, Eric.
I said once, one of my biggest heroes in the industry is Walt Disney. And,
yes.
And what I love about that guy is, keep in mind, to fund Snow White, he put his house on mortgage. So if Snow White failed, he would have been homeless. Though the wife was not too happy about that, obviously.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah. So, and then he even had to do it again to make sure that Walt Disney World or Land was a success. But Walt said that, I'm paraphrasing the quote because I can't remember where he exactly said it, but something to the extent of that movies and entertainment are about dreams. And if we don't follow the dream, then movies and entertainment will be dead.
Wow.
And so that even just goes back to something that, at least I want to try to do is, I feel that, not to really critique the industry now, but I feel like we've lost sight of that we've lost sight of the dream making in movies and everything. And I just said that the world needs dreamers again,
Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, that's just such an inspirational story. I mean, someone needs to make a someone needs to make a movie about that. Her story, right?
So, yeah.
Yes.
So with that in mind, if you had to pick anybody to play you in a biopic about you, who would you want to play you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love Charlize Theron. I think she would do good.
Who's the one who plays Tony Stark's wife in the Marvel movies?
Gwyneth
Paltrow?
goodness. Yes, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Yes, she'd be good.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Maybe even if it was an older, if Meryl Streep could play me. It would be a good story. You're right.
Let's see.
It's even better when I tell you how when we moved from Missouri to California, we had to sell everything we had, and we bought an RV and we drove it, and then we lived in it for 3 months, 4 months almost before we found our house. Talk about how Walt Disney had to give up everything. We had to give up everything.
You know what? That sounds like your story. I'm a Christian and everything, but that actually sounds like a good Christian movie to watch, because I don't like watching some of them.
I agree. And I love that you say that, Ty, because when I was building my school, there was this, I wanted to honor the Lord with it, but I didn't want to say it's a Christian acting school because, not to be mean, but a lot of the Christian films are just cheesy and I was like, my school is not going to be cheesy. So I'm just going to be myself, and the Lord will just he'll just shine through me. I'll just be me. And if people want to hear my story, then I'll tell them, I've got nothing to hide, but you're right. This would not be a cheesy Christian movie.
No, because I've seen some of them like, oh, this guy accepted Jesus and he got a new truck. Like, where are you? Right? how does that? When does that happen?
Right. I know this would be a real story, and we would have to add all the
Um,
bad stuff too, because you know what? That's part of it. I there has been a lot of obstacles and a lot of fear. And don't get me wrong, there's times I second guess myself. I was like, I can't do this. I quit. This is too hard. But I kept showing up. And that's something I say in my coaching calls. Half the battle is just showing up. And sometimes it would take all of my strength just to show up.
well,
Just to show up.
yeah. Well, I've told this story to Eric. Just the proof. God and everything with me and everything. Like one of the defining moments for me, my grandpa told us. My grandpa, who was one of the most religious men I ever met, he would speak at prisons, the Lord, and everything to actual bad criminals.
Wow.
And he said, he owned fires. He was manager of Firestone for years in his district, and he had to fire a guy because he was just not performing well, and a very troubled man. He waited until my uncle at the time, I think at his peak, he had to been at least 6'7". He's shrunk since I've known him, but
wow.
He waits till he leaves the store. The guy then pulls, here we are, 20 minutes already getting a little dark here, but he pulls a gun at the store. My grandpa then ducks because he ducks and everything, and my grandpa said, he has a gun to his head. And my grandpa just has the guts to say, hey, I know how you're feeling, but I'm praying for you. The guy doesn't fire a shot and everything. And my grandpa, nobody would have blamed him if he didn't go back to work or anything for a while. Because, next
For
day.
sure. That's a traumatic experience. Yeah.
Next day, my grandpa went right back to work.
Wow.
Wow. Talk about showing up.
Well, so no, he was just that man, that, guess what? He always just said that, stuff's going to happen. Just show up.
Wow, Ty. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, that's good. Let's talk about something happier now. That's 20 minutes. 20
Yeah. So I guess my next question, if you could pick anybody to direct a movie about you, who would you want to direct it?
Oh man.
I don't know, Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, maybe have a 180 and have somebody who does horror movies, do a complete 180 and then do something completely different.
What is the man who he always directs movies? Jude.
Jude
Apatow. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, his movies, with Paul Rudd, he features a lot. Paul Rudd is usually, his movies just seem, what I want to say, they just seem real. They're messy. It's real life issues. Couples are fighting. It's not always a happy ending. It's, they're funny, but there's romance in it, but there's a conflict. I like his style. I guess I like his choices. Also, Clint Eastwood, just because I think I would just be like fangirling over the fact that Clint Eastwood, and he has such an experience of directing. I feel like, I don't know a lot about directing, but the few directors I like, it almost seems like you've got to have a skill of storytelling as well.
Right.
Like, yes, the director, they are such a key component for any actor because the director has got the eye. So you can see if I'm performing correctly, if I'm in my mark, you have the whole piece of the movie, but they have to be able to tell a story well. And Clint Eastwood, he can tell a story. He is an amazing storyteller. Plus, he's an actor, right? So he can relate.
Certainly.
And then Jude, I've always enjoyed his movies. They always have a little bit of my husband is like, we can both sit down and watch one of his movies and we can both enjoy them. So
Certainly.
that would be fun.
Yeah, and that then on top of that, knowing that he's in his 90s and that knowing that he is still doing it.
Still living the dream. He is totally reflecting that dream, isn't he? Age is nothing but a number to him.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. No, he's. I mean, they and I love what he said there. Says how does he stay so young and active and everything? He said, he just said he tries to learn something every day. So I'm like, good advice there,
Yeah, I mean, like selfishly, just to be, like, just sit at his feet and just learn from him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he would share so much wisdom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was saying that if they ever made a live action Batman Beyond movie, I mean, I think that if they got him, like to play an older, like as Bruce Wayne at an older age, he would be perfect.
He would, Eric, because you would believe that he was Batman.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, that would actually be funny because I believe if somebody's going to sit there correct me on it in the comments, if I have wrong information, but I believe that if the Adam West Batman actually continued, he was actually going to play Two-Face.
That's an ironic coincidence. I did not know that.
I believe that's true.
I could see that too.
But yeah, somebody like him, I could definitely believe that he once could kick all these ass. I definitely
could. 100%, and might even be able to kick ass still. Like, I would not want to mess with him.
Yeah, and it also helps that he has that voice.
Well, I've seen his skills with the 44 Magnum. I don't want to cross him in a dark alley.
No.
No. Well, I love a story about him too. Him and Burt Reynolds. I believe it might have been like the MGM lot or Paramount. It was one of the lots. But him and Burt Reynolds were fired the exact same day.
Oh,
well, that sucks.
And they said they did all this other stuff. They said, Burt, said, why are you firing me? And why are you firing us? And Clint, they told Clint, well, you're too tall, your Adam's apple's too big, your voice is weird. And just had this list of critiques with Clint. And then Burt said to her, what about me? You can't act. And they said, and so here they are. He said Burt told Clint, you're screwed. He said to her, why is that? I can learn to act, but you'll still always have that Adam's apple.
No.
So, but they didn't let that stop him. And plus, like he got, when he was doing Rawhide, he got fined for doing that movie, even in Italy, because it was in his contract he couldn't do movies in America, but he still had to pay. Hey, you're kind of committing a contract issue here, So, and he paid it, and that guy just didn't care at all. That's what I love about that guy. And I actually when I went to Carmel, I did see his house, and I did see an old guy in his garden. So I like to think it's him. I don't know for sure, but I like to just say it's him. So, so I got to see him at his house.
Nice.
And Carmel is a very interesting, small little town. So.
Yeah, and what I find inspirational about that is that knowing that they didn't allow that to stop them from their dreams. And I even heard something similar that happened, like with Meryl Streep, I believe. It was when that they were doing that 1970s remake of King Kong. And then she met with one of the people who made the movie. I believe it was Dino De
Laurentiis.
Yeah, him, yeah. And then Dino was speaking in Spanish, I believe, or
Italian.
yeah, Italian, and he was speaking in that language. It is because he wanted to say what he thought without offending her. And then he said, why do you bring me this ugly thing? But little did he know, Meryl actually could speak in that language, and so
Ooh.
she understood what he said.
Mm.
Ow, that
Well,
was a big burn on her end. But I
but
mean, knowing that she continued on. But yeah, was that rude of him to say that? Absolutely,
Yes. Yes.
extremely rude.
well, Dino was not exactly the nicest of producers. So
Obviously not.
no,
Yes.
but no. What I love about that story though too is he, and even with Bert, keep in mind too. I correct me if I'm wrong here, but he is the only actor. Nobody's ever been able to beat his streak for 7 years straight. He was the top actor,
Wow.
and I don't think anybody has ever beaten him. I think people have come close, but I don't think I don't think people have actually beaten that record. And so and how many that's the great thing about movies is they're just you know one movie can just be that inspiration to the inspiration to people. Like how many people were impacted by Star Wars,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and even because that talk about a milestone, because that movie, people don't realize it, but Hollywood would have been dead without Star Wars. I mean, and it Fox was actually betting the entire budget of the studio on Star Wars pretty much.
Wow.
Oof.
So yeah.
Yeah, and just those few seconds of the intro, just scenes, the Star Wars logo and that dun dun dun, dun like that right there instantly sucks you in. And on top of that, it also goes to show that music also can, definitely be a huge factor for films as well.
Oh yeah. Well, and I feel that some people have forgotten that in some ways. Like I know, like music is so important to film because music can help us connect to certain things and everything. Like how many people have probably speaking of Star Wars, at their how many times have we done da, 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 da. Or just sometimes if we go to the automatic door at Walmart, we just sit there.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I do it all the time. I'll admit it. Come on, Eric. Eric, you do it too.
Yeah.
This
So
is a safe place.
yeah, these are not the toys that you're looking for. So yeah, so I guess with that in mind, if you could have anybody compose the music for a movie made about you,
You're
who
still
would
on
you?
this topic, huh?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, Eric, I don't know any composers.
Hans
Um,
Zimmer, Hans Zimmer, John Williams.
I would give for I think I don't know, like for as far as directing, I would say somebody with that Spielberg style could kind of really direct that story. And I don't know, to play her, she's kind of an unknown, um, and but I think she's a star on the rise. And she's done some bigger roles, but she's on. It's she might know the show Grace and Frankie.
Grace and Frankie.
Brooklyn Decker is her name.
No, I'm familiar with the show.
Okay, well
I'll have to look her up, but okay.
she was in the show. Actually, she was in the Adam Sandler movie Just Go With It.
Just go with it. Oh yes, the girlfriend that he tries to. Yes.
Well, I think.
Okay, I've seen that movie.
Not just saying.
Yeah, you're right. You haven't seen her in a lot of stuff. You're right.
I think she's actually. I mean.
She's very good.
She's. She's a very good actress for a former model, but and
Oh,
everything, but she's a
nice.
great
Okay,
she's a
thank
great
you. I
she,
received that.
she's a
Yes, I
great
love all
act.
that.
I think she's a great actress, and you need somebody with that Spielberg style. I'm not saying Spielberg himself, but as far as scoring, I would give it to an unknown guy who he's composed video games, but
Ooh.
video game composers have gotten to be better composers than actual film composers now. So
Yeah, and on top of that, even the guy like who composes the current Jurassic World movies, I mean, just by coincidence, one of his early jobs was actually composing one of the Jurassic Park video games. So
How cool is that? That is so cool.
but I would give it to Jeremy Soule. He's the guy who made Skyrim. That composer.
Ooh. I'll have to look him up. This is such a good question, Eric. Recently my kids just watched for like the umpteenth time Encanto, and I know that was Lin-Manuel. So that's I don't know if he would want to compose my movie, but he did the music for Moana, and I don't know if you've heard of him, and he's done a lot of musicals like Hamilton and Into the Heights.
okay,
Yeah, or
that's pretty awesome.
even one guy who would be really interested for just that type of story. My favorite film composer of all time is Ennio Morricone.
Man, I don't know composers. This is so good. I love learning more about our industry. So this is kind of one area I haven't learned a lot about.
Ennio Morricone is the guy who did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars for Fuel. As we're talking about Clint Eastwood. But he had that keen sense. He had a keen sense that even if he composed a lot of, let's just say, not the greatest movies in the world, but he made the movies better because the music was good. So he composed The Exorcist 2, which bad movie, but the music is good. So
okay.
Which is ironic that you said that movie because it has James Earl Jones, and then knowing that he unfortunately passed away recently. So another coincidence.
I would get this other video game composer because, like I said, video game composers have gotten to be better film composers now than actual film composers. His name is Marcin, and he's Polish, so I can't pronounce his last name. So we're all bloody Americans. We can't sit there and pronounce foreign names. Deercaller, right?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce my last name, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kelsey didn't know how to say it when she first met me. And that was why at one point I thought about changing my last name to something like Smith or some of people.
No, Eric, don't do it. It's your essence. It's a great conversation starter. You can explain the origin of it. No.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, having to pay all that money and do all that paperwork for it, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, and plus, when you become a director, we need to have films that sit there. Man, that was so Earthalian. So,
which I appreciate, and I mean, to be fair, Arnold, he was told that he couldn't make it as an actor. It's because he had too much of a complicated last name to pronounce. But nowadays, you will never meet anybody who doesn't know how to say his last name.
Exactly.
And
there you go.
Well, I think that one thing, with I love the stories of just how some of these actors made it in the industry. Like I tell the story all the time. Like Clark Gable, when he got on the stage for the first time, he fell flat on his face, and it was a hard, like, ouch. But Clark Gable, this is something you could teach your students. Sometimes just go with it. He decides to break the fourth wall on stage, and Sitter says, "Boy, I really fell for that one." And that's just one of my favorite stories. And then look at him now; he became the king of Hollywood. And there's so many stories like The Rock. Eric, before he became The Rock, he had $7 to his name.
Yeah, and that right there reminds me of what happened to Dwayne Johnson. From what I heard,
I just said
or that he made it big. Yeah, it's funny you say that because he also had $7 in his name, and then he went from that to being where he's at now.
Yeah, we kind of just told the same story, but okay.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
anyway,
And heck, even one of my idols, Jim Carrey, he used to live in a van.
not down by the river. But
Yes.
so and everybody, all those greats have their journey. Like I think, and then one of the things I find interesting is, there's some actors are even established that are still going to acting school. I mean, Keanu Reeves is one of them.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I guess he's still going to acting school because he sit there and said that, and I think I even heard that even Robert Downey Jr. is still going to acting school, so.
And he just won an Oscar.
Well, yeah, but, it's like, they're not that hard to win. But I'm the best. So, but, there's, but that's, I think, dude, we need to start crowdfunding this because that I think that would be an amazing story,
Oh,
Oh yeah, certainly. And
well, actually, Eric, you should direct it.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And I mean, considering that acting is not the only thing that I love, like with filmmaking, it's just also directing too. So, it's one of those things where I should have thought of it, but I didn't. But yeah, I don't see why not. So I guess that leads to the next question. What would you want the title to be?
Oh.
Wait, maybe just call it Reflect the Dream?
Yeah, Reflect the Dream.
Reflecting Dreams, or Reflecting with Dreams, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the story is really it's who I am becoming, but the person I'm becoming, she was always there. That's kind of why when I was brainstorming different names in my school, at first I was gonna just the Kelsey Jimenez Acting Studio and be like, done, bam, that's a wrap. And I was like, no, that's lame. And then
Too generic.
yeah, too generic. And then this idea of like, well, what am I doing? Like I'm going after my dreams, chase the dream, catch the dream, be the dream big, go big or go home, like all these different names. And then finally, when I really sat down with it, like, what do I don't want my actors to just catch the dream or chase the dream. It's you are your dream come true. It's you. It's always been inside of me. And so when the idea of reflect the dream, it's like when people see me, I want them to see the reflection of my dream come true. Like I want them to see that she is living her dream come true. She is the dream come true. So I just heard that song from Mulan, like when will my reflection show? But not that cheesy. But it's what would it be, Lord? I guess reflect the dream.
Well,
when you reflect your dreams. I don't know. That's a good question, Eric.
Well,
There's this anonymous quote that says, "The surest way for your dreams to come true is to live them." And that was one that really stuck with me. It's like that's the surest way. Go live it. So I like reflect the dream, but maybe we could brainstorm. Get
reflect the dream, the motion picture.
I mean, like I'm sold. I like reflect the dream. I'm good with that.
Well, just
might as well. And I mean, that is what your school's called, and and ultimately it would be about how that came to be. So I don't see why not.
You know,
I love it, Eric. Let's do it.
well, yeah, Eric, come on. After Dracula versus the Frankenstein monster, I think you found your next project, right?
Yeah, yeah, certainly.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know, like I think Eric's more part of your class, but like what's something that you really, I mean, do you really follow a bunch of what type of method do you follow with acting? Like I know there's method actors, and all the other. There's so many
Yeah.
versions of actors, So what's your curriculum? How do you really try to
Yeah.
follow?
I mean, you're right, Ty. Like there's so many different techniques out there. I've studied everything from Stanislavski to Chekhov to Uta Hagen to Meisner to the Jersey Grotowski method. I mean, there's so many different things. And so my method of teaching, I always say this to my students, I want to teach you everything I know.
Mhm.
That's really my heart. I want to teach you everything I know, but also in the same sense, I know that not everything is for everybody.
Mhm.
Okay. And when I first started teaching, I was working with like kids and teenagers, and I really had this. I was kind of trying to teach them like adults, but kids like you just and teens. I mean, I really had to improv a lot of my teaching methods.
Mhm.
And so for me, I have these 5 foundational tools. That's where I always start with every student. And it's kind of a blend of Uta Hagen, a little bit of Stanislavski, a little bit of Grotowski. It's like a blend, Ty, and even with that, I kind of inspire my students to form their own preparation, because they really should have a preparation that feels good to you. Yes, pull inspiration, and yes, but if you look at all the famous acting techniques, most, if not all, are all inspired by like the godfather of acting, Stanislavski. Every single one. They've
Right.
taken what Konstantin Stanislavski did and they just tweaked it because something that he did they didn't like, and it worked better when they did it this way, and then they expand it, and then here comes somebody else that goes under Stella Adler and they pull from her, and then you have Meisner, Chekhov, and then you have Uta Hagen. So everybody kind of morphs their own technique. So
Mhm.
I teach my 5 tools of acting. I believe that we have to first start off with this foundational tool of who am I? You have to know who you are. Otherwise, like I joke, but it's like, well, then why the hell are you even on the stage? Why are you even here? If you don't know who you are, then why are you here?
Yeah.
And then I teach, objective, obstacles, beats and tactics, subtext. So I teach those tools. And then I have a lot of other tools. It's like, it's almost like a night. I'm a visual learner, so I almost see like an ice cream sundae. Like you got to have the core pieces, and then let's add some sprinkles. Let's try some nuts. Let's try everything. Let's add the cherry on the top with authentic acting, and then there's subtext and substitution. And so I don't know if I answered the question, Ty, but just
Yeah,
really my technique is
yeah,
it's a blend of everything I've been learning and teaching for over 15 years.
well,
And
that's well, no, you did. I mean, I think that you try to take from everybody, and you kind of develop your own
yeah,
style of teaching,
Yeah.
which honestly, a quote from Alfred Hitchcock. He sits there and says, "I think method acting seems to be bad for actors' health." So
yeah, method acting it
It
doesn't
can be
seem
hard.
very safe. Like I
I understand it, but you know, I it's just like if you're gonna play a serial killer, it's probably not a good idea to think like a serial killer for your mental health.
no. So there's tools I teach like substitution, if um or if you're having, like, I once played when I was in college a sociopath, but I'm obviously not going to go do and be a sociopath.
Mhm.
But the key is, in some aspects, I teach a term, you have to fall in love with your character.
Right.
Even if you're playing like a mass murderer, like you gotta fall in love with them. You gotta see it from their perspective. And so first understand, do your research. What is a sociopath? What does it mean to be a sociopath? Do your research. And then we as humans, odds are we may never have, obviously, we've not killed anybody.
Oh, yeah.
But if you can understand the mind kind of killer, like why they kill. And obviously if it's your character, you would probably know why they did these things, or even a sociopath, because my character like just destroyed this guy's life. And as I'm digging deep and what were the reasons behind it, even though I've never acted on revenge, we know what that feels like. We can put ourselves there. We can go to that feeling of what it would feel like to want to avenge. I mean, I instantly thought of a memory of this boy that like hurt my sister's feelings, and I just, I wanted to beat him up and I wanted to key his car and all these terrible things. Of course I didn't do it, but I felt that. We've all felt it. And so
yeah,
doing your research and then allowing yourself to substitute. So whether you're substituting the different emotions or the personalities, get yourself to a place where you can connect to them. And then when I did that and I played the sociopath, I understood why she went to such drastic lengths to destroy this man's life. I got it, because she never felt loved. And it was like, and it made my character so rich. And it was like, I was her, and without having to be a sociopath, but I was a sociopath. I was walking in her shoes. So we do not have to do the method. That's dangerous. We are actors, okay?
Yeah.
We are acting. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
according to, who knows if it was even true, but like they say that's probably what, because I think that I wish that Heath Ledger would have been more of an example for actors don't do method acting, if it is true.
I believe it is, Ty. I think he got too deep in the trench
of the joke, playing the Joker.
The darkness. There was this amazing masterclass a couple years ago with this actor, Ronnie Hawkins, and he taught a masterclass on not compromising for $1. And he talked about this opportunity he could get in this movie, a role in a movie, but he was going to have to play this like really dark, sinister rapist character. And when he was reading the script, it was just too dark, too sinister. And he realized, like, sometimes as actors, we need to be careful, because when certain characters we play, if we're not careful, and of course I'm spiritual, so sometimes I think that we can invite these spirits in, these dark, sinister things in, and now I say that, Eric, and I know you have a love for horror, but you have a love for horror. It brings you joy to like,
yeah,
blood. It brings you joy. So
hopefully, Eric, you've never stabbed anybody.
No.
At least not on purpose.
I know, like, Ingrid is one of my students, and I know you know Ingrid. Like, I have several other students, and horror, that's not really my thing. But I know so many people that love it, and they love to go to the fright nights and haunted houses. Like, it brings them joy.
Yeah.
So to me, then that's safe. But Ranye, he's not really into thriller and sinister, and he realized that even though this was a good opportunity, he did not want to compromise his own like life and his own morals for this role. And so it always makes me think of Heath Ledger, like that role he played. I think he just got too far into it, and
plus the Joker,
it was starting to take over him.
Plus, writing, putting yourself in a dark room for, what was it, a week?
Oh, I know. That is someone should have stopped him. That was dangerous.
Journal, I would just sit there and say, dude,
much.
Like, you're taking this a little too far, dude. Like,
yeah, you are Heath Ledger. You are not the Joker. We need a separation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But but then, like, I've heard some. I've heard we all heard the argument. Oh, but he gave a great performance. Like, yeah, but was it really worth his mental health?
At what cost? Yeah, that's why that masterclass is not compromising for $1. Like, sometimes, even though all the money in the world, you don't compromise your own health and sanity and
Well,
such.
Certainly, yeah, and yeah, and about the separation, I am able to watch horror movies. It's because I'm able to separate it. I'm like, okay, I understand, it's just fiction, it's just entertainment, and I know better than, after I watch Friday the 13th, I'm not gonna go put on a hockey mask and go be Jason and kill people because, that's just common sense. And by that same logic, that's like saying that after I watch The Grinch, I then know better to not go break into people's houses, and then go take all of their presents under their tree because
I mean,
it's common sense.
I mean, hey, it's okay to it's okay to think, just don't do.
Yeah, like it's again, y'all. We're acting. This is at its core make believe. I mean, it could be based off true events, but this
True, yeah.
didn't really happen to you. But some actors, like they take it a little too far.
Well,
so.
that's one thing even my dad always said, because I a very early age, and my dad always was kind of funny. He said, "Oh, you should let him watch that at this age." But my dad was just always drilled it into the head. This is not real, movie.
Well, there you go.
And
he protected you.
And then he always said, and like, because there are some movies I watched. It's like, man, people are like surprised because I'm watching Jaws at 7, and everything. But my dad just said it's not real, and he always sit there and say it's a fake leg or something like that,
Yeah.
Always explained it, and I would always watch behind the scenes documentaries on how they did it and everything. So
yeah,
and
Yeah.
I think that like if you're gonna sit there, especially if you're gonna sit there and play some, like I said, a serial killer, like fine, but don't sit there and get into the mindset is, I think, one great lesson for any actor, because
absolutely.
Because like we don't want your student here, Eric, to sit there and play a serial killer and then actually become really a little cuckoo.
No. I would be like, maybe I coached him too much. Okay, he is now too good, and oh no, I did too good of a job.
But yeah, as soon as you say all that, it reminds me of a really funny story. In 2016, I had a thing with this girl at that time, and it turned out that her father was a pastor, like who I happened to know just by a huge coincidence. And I was over at their place watching horror movies on Halloween. One of them was the Human Centipede, and
oh no!
And then afterwards, I then said out loud, "I can't believe I'm watching the Human Centipede with the pastor." And then what he said afterwards, spoke volumes. He said, "As long as afterwards that you don't go around, like as long as afterwards that you don't go around and actually try to make a human centipede in real life, and and try to stitch people together, you will be fine." I'm like, that's saying a lot coming from a pastor.
That is saying a lot. Okay.
I'm like,
he's very open-minded.
Wow. I'm like, wow, I watched the Human Centipede with a pastor.
Yeah, Eric, I give you props for just watching that, because there's some uncomfortable scenes, and you're watching it with a girl that you like and her dad. So I give you props for just watching that.
I'm assuming you know its concept, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I've seen that movie.
Oh God.
You're a little. And you okay there, dude? You've talked about that movie quite a bit.
Well, it's because it forever impacted me. It forever impacted me mentally, because it made me think. And it goes back to what Kelsey said about being in the character's shoes. Like, it made me think. What if that was me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just as long as you're not in the middle, right?
Oh. I would rather be the front, because at least I can eat normal food.
Yes.
But yeah, I sure hope that those two girls liked. Japanese food.
Where's my trash can? But no, So, you know, I, who knows? There needs to. I feel like I haven't really heard of a lot of great acting teachers since Strasberg. Uh,
Lee
and
Strasberg.
yes, and he, Hyman Roth in The Godfather too. So, I
Yes.
and I, so who knows? I mean, I think that you know, if Eric's in a good example of that when he goes to Atlanta, or he can always give you a shout out and everything. So,
Certainly.
and Eric, like I said, I think you should direct the movie because, dude,
Oh yeah,
it's an amazing story, and
certainly.
Thanks, Ty.
I would say,
And yeah, and on top of that, it's a story that I definitely relate to a lot. And yeah, but yeah, I don't see why not.
but um, I guess what are some movies that really, I guess, made you passionate about acting?
Ooh. Okay. Well, have you guys ever seen the original Color Purple?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that movie, I mean, I watched that movie, I think I was like 12 or 13. And it's interesting when you're a kid and people ask you what movies or music you like. It's just like whatever your parents are watching. Or I mean, and Disney, I grew up in the era of Disney and VHSs. So honestly, it was like the Disney Channel,
Right.
whatever was on the Disney Channel, I liked because that's what we just watched. But I remember my mom reading that book, and then that movie came out and I watched it, and I had never seen acting like that. I mean, it was just so believable. I couldn't, how did they do it? Are these not the real people? I mean, I was so convinced. It was so beautiful. So the Color Purple. Also, I love the movie Selena. I don't know why. Have you guys ever seen that movie with Jennifer Lopez? It's about the
Yes.
singer sensation Selena. That was another one of those movies. I literally thought Jennifer Lopez was Selena. I was like, what? She's not. This isn't. And then I love Titanic.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I'm the king of the world.
yes.
Did you?
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, which actually about Pulp Fiction, I didn't finally see it up until a little bit over a year ago, actually, in college.
Really, Eric?
Yeah, it was my first time ever seeing it. But hey, I mean, it's late, but better late
At least
than not.
better late than never. So those are some of those movies I watched in middle school, and those really impacted my life because I just up until that point, my dad does live theater. And so I was in school plays and doing live theater, but it felt very, like acting, make believe, costumes, makeup. I knew
Right.
that this wasn't real, but it was fun. It was like so much fun. I mean, performing. I'm a Leo, so I was like all about the attention. I loved all of it. But watching those movies, it was like the acting became another layer for me, like the depth, the emotion, the preparation, the research, the accent. I was floored. I was so amazed. And that was the moment that I knew I wanted to learn everything there was about acting. That's why I was like, I want to learn it all. I need to know, how do they do this? How do they get so invested in this character where it's like the room was escaping me. Like I was in the scene with them. Oh, and all the Indiana Jones movies. Oh my gosh. All of those movies, the old Star Wars, I loved them. So
yeah, so about Indiana Jones, I'm assuming that you saw the one that came out last year, right?
Yes. It's okay. It was okay. It was good. But
not good.
I'm an OG girl. Like the originals. I mean,
even to some extent, the fourth one it's good. I mean, because I remember I have all of the young Indiana Jones movies on VHS actually.
Oh yeah, us too.
I saw those a long time ago.
Well, I love the young Indiana Jones because and I've even read some of the Indiana Jones books and everything. So, like, there's one of them. There's one of them speaking on Titanic, where like Indiana Jones is literally on the Titanic. It's like it's just kind of funny, and everything.
Oh yes, I know you're trying to say. Yeah, there's one.
And then
maybe the new one has just a lot more like special effects, and sometimes that can take me out of the movie. But
yeah,
the original with the fighting and the lights and that whole scene where they're eating the monkey brains and just like,
oh yeah,
I mean, I was like, this. It just all looks so real, and it
the
thing
is,
was real.
I guess the thing about the new one is like, okay, for those who remember Indiana Jones, the TV show, they had a older guy play old Indiana Jones. And keep in mind with this one, Harrison Ford was 4 years older than the actor who played 93-year-old Indiana Jones.
Wow.
So why not just use Harrison Ford?
Well, because it was in the 90s, dude, when they did that. And but my thing is when I see something like that, it's like, I mean, I kind of always made the argument, Indiana Jones was actually based on a lot of James Bond movies. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see the influence.
So
yeah,
multiple actors.
Always the hot chick, I can totally see it.
But Indiana Jones was, so multiple actors have played Indiana Jones in the series. Like or not, the Indiana Jones movies are part of the series. So, like I understand where people are coming from. That only Harrison Ford could play Indiana Jones. But I'm like, he's 80 years old when he did that.
And he can't be Indiana Jones forever. And on top of that, yeah, and on top of that, a lot of people, including myself, were surprised about how the Dial of Destiny actually bombed at the box office. It's a movie that shouldn't have bombed because it's a big name franchise and whatnot, but it bombed.
I think honestly, I think honestly that was probably just the budget. What was it? Almost $300 million, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, the budget was way too high, and
I don't think high. I don't even know if the budget the budget was part of the problem, but honestly, because Harrison Ford was too expensive, because they had to hire him, and then
understandable, probably.
Well, they had to hire him, and then the guy who did the motion capture, the deep fake or whatever they want to call it, and then they had to basically rehire Harrison Ford because they're using his image and his estate, even though he's not dead. It's like you essentially had to pay Harrison Ford 3 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
No one. They had to de-age him. It's like, that's expensive.
It's like, so I get, that's one of the things, I get the idea of deep fake, but in some ways it's like, why not just hire another actor? I mean, it's like, I get the idea behind it, but, just hire an actor, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who looks like the said person. I mean,
or just rewrite the script.
Yeah, or because I'm pretty sure, I mean, you could find a Harrison Ford look-alike or something if you really needed something for that scene. Like some of those look-alike actors are really good actors because
True.
I mean, and speaking of Titanic, I did know this one too. I did hear that James Cameron, one of the choices who he wanted to play Jack was Brendan Fraser.
No, never. Leo for life.
Yeah.
That would have ruined everything. And Leonardo DiCaprio, that's my crush. I don't know. I was like 13, 14, and oh my gosh. Woo!
Yeah, and one of the other choices,
I was like, that's a good scene.
One of the other choices was Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I know Matt. I know
No,
Matt.
it had to be Leo. It had to be Leo.
I know
And
Matt
that's when like Leo and
McConaughey
Kate,
was one of
their chemistry, and they went on to do other movies together. No, it had to be them.
And I also heard that as Cal, Billy Zane was not their first choice. It actually was Pierce Brosnan, but
No.
but Pierce had to say no because he was doing one of the James Bond movies at that time. So,
Good. Oh, I'm so glad.
but yeah, I mean, Billy Zane,
It was perfect.
yeah.
Kathy Bates, like every character act, it was perfect. Ooh, I wouldn't change a thing about that movie.
Yeah, how was it?
Exactly, yeah. And knowing that almost was Christian Bale, I just would have really laughed, say, for argument's sake, if it was him, if he did his like if he did his Batman voice throughout the entire movie.
Have you seen any? Have you seen any of the other Titanic movies?
Oh, you're right. You're right, Ty. I forgot they made a new one where the.
Well, I didn't know they made another one, but I was going to say.
Wait, did they? No, wait. Am I getting confused? No, because at the end of the Titanic, I'm getting it confused.
Yeah,
no, it's not two separate movies.
I was more talking about the other Titanic movies, like there's some of them that are very in. Titanic has just a very great history with film. There's one that was made in a month after the sinking, where they actually casted one of the survivors
wearing the clothes that she wore on that day, but it's sadly lost.
Wow.
And then there's one of them that was released in 1929, and everything.
100 years ago now.
And then there's one of them that was all I'm going to sit there, I'm going to have to, Eric, I'm going to really find a way to say this one. This was released in 1943 in Germany, so we know what type of movie it was. Yeah. And,
scary film?
Define scary. So it's a Nazi propaganda. It's a Nazi propaganda movie.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking because Eric's doing horror, but you're doing it in the UK, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was putting. But that makes sense. Sorry.
But so it's a Nazi propaganda movie, and where they actually say that it's really interesting how they portray that when that capitalism destroyed the Titanic, and it's and then they say that the Nazis. They say that the Nazis were the heroes, even though, they didn't exist until 1919, and the Titanic sunk in 1912. So, but it's propaganda. It's an interesting movie, and it's actually public domain, Eric, so you can watch it if you want to.
Okay, yeah.
But no, and then they've released a few of them in the 50s and everything, and some of them are actually pretty good. And Titanic's always been a great subject for movie making. So.
Oh, it has.
That's probably a good story.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned The Color Purple. There actually was a new version of it that came out a year ago. Did you ever see it?
No, I
never
got around to. They put it also. There was like a live adaptation, like a musical of The Color Purple, and I've listened to the music. Incredible. I mean, the talent. God did not give me the gift of singing. I do love singing, but not to that caliber. And I mean, I love musicals, and I mean, I just get goosebumps when I hear Danielle Brooks and all the other actors. Fantasia. I mean, oh my gosh, it's incredible. But then they remade the movie, and I haven't seen it. I have nothing against remakes. It's just sometimes.
If it ain't broke, then don't fix it.
Yeah, it's like sometimes Hollywood, they just run out of ideas, don't they? And so they're just remaking everything. And so that's maybe my own. I don't want to go my soapbox there, but sometimes that's my own like pet peeve. Like they remade the Mean Girls, like they just remake everything. Like y'all come up with some original ideas. But that's just me. So I'm sure I would like it, but I would probably compare it to the original. And there's nothing, I don't care. You can't tell me, I don't care. Nothing can compete with the original. The way it made me feel, I mean, I felt every emotion. That's what movies are supposed to do. They're supposed to take you away. And it took me away. And I can remember being in my room and just watching it. And I was in love with all the characters. I mean, it was an incredible experience. And I doubt the new one will create the same experience. You know, I go for the movies. I want to have an experience. I want to feel, whether I want to cry. There was movies I watch because I know I'm going to cry and I want to experience those emotions. You know, I want to experience fear and suspense and celebration when the main actor overcomes an obstacle and, you know, they defied all odds. So that's what that movie was, that she was able to see her children after all those years. It was I'm probably gonna have to watch that movie now, guys. Like, it's okay.
It's fine. And yeah, and according to research, you know, I'm after you said The Color Purple, it got me curious, and I looked up the remake, and I actually saw that it flopped at the box office.
It doesn't surprise me. So it's like, if it comes on Netflix, not to be mean, or I'll probably watch it if I see it, but I definitely not one I went to the theaters.
I don't know. Like some of the movies, this is not me bashing Hollywood, so people in the comments don't have to sit there and say, you know, oh, but I think that honestly, I think the big problem is that, you know, there's just, you know, if you kind of go look at what's going on right now, it's the shift in Hollywood, where basically the people have made, the guys have made, the Hollywood executives back then are making the same mistake that the old Hollywood executives made. They're selling their businesses to business people. And yes, it is a business, but also it's a business of, as what George Lucas said, it's a business of art and dreams, you know, and you can put a money price on that. You just have to do it responsibly. Because think about this, if they're making movies on brands now pretty much. And, you know, there was actually a bidding war between all of the studios for the Emoji Movie.
Wow.
And so keep in mind, a movie where Patrick Stewart plays poop had a bidding war.
Which is funny to think.
Yeah, so I want to know, how much did they pay Patrick Stewart to play poop? You know,
funny is because a lot of people said that movie was poop anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many puns you could play there. Like, there's so many puns you could play with that.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, being an acting teacher, how do you get it to poop's head, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, yeah, I think that's a good, you know, place to wrap things up at. And
what a shitty ending.
I was like, if you don't say it, I'll be like, wow, what a shitty way to end. Or something like that. I was going to say that.
But yeah, Kelsey, I definitely really want to thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. But yeah, so these are always the last questions that we ask. What's your advice to anybody pursuing the movie industry? And the final question we always ask, is there anything upcoming for you that you want to plug?
Man, so anyone that's really pursuing this, now is the time to do it. Right now. Do the first inspired action that comes to mind. Join an acting class. Okay. I don't care what it is. Do it. Go to that audition. Even if you bomb it, who cares? Just do it. I see so many of my actors, they're always waiting for the right moment, waiting. And you know what? Then later never happens. Okay. And then you'll be 33 like me and be in this place. So I think if it's meant to be, it'll still be. But my actors out there that are listening, if this is a dream that's been in your heart, then now is the time to go after it. just go after it. Go do a quick Google search and find an audition, a theater, go watch live theater, just get involved. The surest way for your dream to come true is to live it. Because if you don't do it, then you don't do it. You won't do it. It's as simple as that. If you don't go out and learn the skill of acting, you don't pursue it, well, then you don't pursue it. You don't ever get to audition. You don't ever get to meet other dreamers. It's so simple. Either you do it or you don't. And so just go and do it. And then I guess the next upcoming thing for me, so I've been, doing my online business for about 3 years, Eric. And so coming into 2025, I am ready to start doing more live coaching. I still love my online because I get to meet actors all over the world, like you in Montana. Like I have got students all over. But I really feel a hunger to really share my gifts and talents with my community here in Southern California. So there's several different performing arts schools, even the local schools. There's some agencies here in the area, and I've been really connecting with them. It's like I want the people here where I live to know about Reflect the Dream, that there's a place where it's possible to dream. There is a place that provides hope, because I know a lot of actors, right, they tell people about their dream and they're a lot of times met with such opposition, right? Like, oh, it's so hard, it's never going to happen, it's too much of a struggle. Yeah. I know you can relate to that. And so Reflect the Dream, it's like you get this permission to dream. I want to teach people that there's hope, that the power of believing that dreams can come true. So that's where I'm at, Eric. I'm really letting the world know I'm here, and I'm ready to start doing like live, like real in-person acting classes here in my community, and then just kind of seeing where that goes. It's like I want the world to know I'm here.
Awesome. But yeah, I certainly do appreciate that. And yeah, and I'll be sure to have a link, like for people to check out Reflect the Dream, and I will have a link to your Instagram.
I have a link to my website, how they can get a hold of me, and I offer free Zoom calls. Like that's how me and Eric got connected. It's just a great way to meet me, to meet the school, and sometimes I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. I get that, but if it feels right. Like me and you, Eric, it was just so easy. It felt easy. It felt right. And that's how it should be. So yeah, they can connect with me and talk to me and just understand more about my school and just kind of go from there. But this has been awesome, Eric. Thank you so much for inviting me. I wish you nothing but the best. This is awesome that you're doing this. This is so good for you.
It is, yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to be your guest. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, you have a fantastic day.
You too. Bye, Eric.
See ya.